$800 or $900 gaming PC. This is a budget you can build yourself a decent FPS machine and enjoy high refresh rate 1080p or even 60 FPS 1440p gaming. Today I will be building, benchmarking and sharing more budget-friendly alternatives you can use when choosing parts for your gaming rig. But if this is your first time on this channel, on Epic Game Tech I share my passion in gaming PC build videos, unboxing parts and helping you guys by posting simple how-to guides. So if you find these topics interesting, consider subscribing. Are you ready? Let's go! Let's start with the components I've used in this gaming PC build. First of all, you will be able to find all of my used parts in the description below, as well as a few alternatives. This is a B450 Tomahawk Max. I've dedicated a full video for this motherboard that you can find at the top right corner, as it's one of the best B450 motherboards you can get for the price. Although in some regions Tomahawk can be overpriced due to its limited availability. But in case you can find it for around $100, it's a really nice option. This motherboard will support upcoming Ryzen 4000 series after a BIOS update. Sure, at this point you might want to add around $20 to $30 more and get B550 motherboard if you wish so. But in case you are looking for even more budget-friendly motherboard, I would suggest checking B450 Pro 4 from ASRock. And it's not a surprise, for this build I will be using Ryzen 5 3600 CPU, as it's one of the best value and all-rounded processor you can get from Team Red. It has 6 cores and 12 threads, and it's capable not only gaming but handling streaming or some production workloads as well. In case you build a PC strictly for gaming and you need more budget option, you could definitely go for Ryzen 3 3300X in case it's available for around $100 or so. Even though a stock cooler is fine for gaming, you can get a bit more performance using a budget aftermarket cooler. I will be using Gamex GTE V2 from Deepcool. It's quite a nice looking budget cooler with an RGB fan, but again, stock cooler is fine, especially if you are trying to save a few bucks. Next up we have our RAM, 16GB of 3200 MHz at a really good price. Nothing fancy, but it will get a job done. You have an option to get 3600 MHz for $10 or $20 more, or opt in for an RGB version if you wish so. Storage coming up next. This time it's 500GB SSD from Crucial. It's really nice performing MX500, but again, in case you aim towards $800 build and want to keep pretty much the same gaming performance, you could go for a cheaper SSDs. And to be fair, you will not see any difference unless you do lots of file transfers or video editing. But in those cases I would suggest getting M.2 and NVMe drives, since some of them are pretty much the same price as MX500. As for our FPS generator, I will be using RTX 2060 from Gigabyte. It's quite a nice choice for high refresh rate 1080p gaming or 1440p at 60 FPS. I've benchmarked quite a few games, and so you will be able to check performance in various titles. As well as you can use NVIDIA's encoder for your streaming sessions with a minimal impact on your gaming performance. And in case you have $100 more for your GPU, the next step up would be RTX 2060 Super or RX 5700 XT from AMD. But in case you want to spend less money, you could go for GTX 1660 Super, but have in mind you will need to stick to 1080p resolution. 700 watt power supply is way too much for a similar build, unless you want to do serious upgrades down the line. When getting a PSU, just go for a bronze certificate 600 watts from known brand and you will be fine. I would avoid anything with no certificate, as you do not want to compromise on a PSU when building a decent gaming PC. A case choice depends from person to person in most cases, as it's somewhat a part of your room interior. I will use Matrix 55 mesh from Deepcool. Nothing fancy, but it's a good price, and a mesh front panel with a decent airflow led to this choice. I will definitely put more options for you guys in the description below. But in general, try to get a PC case with a mesh type front panel, since it helps quite a lot, especially when overclocking your CPU and GPU. If you like my content so far, smash that like button. And finally, the least necessary part, at least for a budget PC, is 5 RGB case fans. While it makes this build look better, it doesn't add any performance. Not saying it's a good idea to have some fans for sure, but definitely you can get non-RGB ones for $15 or so. Let's roll a building process and have a peek at some benchmark numbers later. And it's done! Enough of a b-roll, and let's have a look at some benchmarks. As always, I will run through esports titles first and then some AAA games. All of the benchmarks were done in 1080p resolution and highest game settings. As well as I've tested Shadow of a Tomb Raider in 1440p just to have a better overview of what kind of a performance you can expect using a higher resolution. All of the benchmarks with specific timings will be linked in the description below. As you can see, you do not need to have a huge budget for a quite nice looking gaming PC. 800 or 900 US dollars is enough to build a good gaming 1080p or 1440p gaming rig. And you can enjoy those RGB lights if that's your thing. Keep in mind, new GPUs will be announced soon from Nvidia side. And so if you're not in a rush, you should possibly wait a bit with a GPU decision. I hope you guys enjoyed this gaming PC build video, and you can find even more stunning builds by clicking here.